I met Ed in the Rhodey Firm Library in 1981, I think, although I may be off a year or two.
I first met Ed about 10 years ago when I was applying for the ABA moot court team here at the law school.
Ed graduated 1 year ahead of me. That's number one. Two, when I was in private practice, I litigated against the Rhodey law firm, and so Ed was involved in some of those cases. But really my experience with Ed has been since I've been on the Supreme Court, working on some of our committees, also speaking at some of the programs that he puts on. As you know, Ed is very devoted to the education of not only our law students, but also lawyers in the legal community. And so I've participated with him on some of those programs.
Ed was thoughtful. Ed was quiet. Ed was very smart. That's what stood out.
What was surprising about working with Ed was just how patient he was with us. I think it can be very difficult for an experienced lawyer to be working with law students who are struggling to grasp the idea of what it means to be an appellate advocate. And yet, you would never know from Ed's responses to our performance and his feedback. Just very patient, very willing to work with us.
There's a whole decade in the 90s when Ed and I were an appellate team. I don't know how that happened, but he would write the briefs and I would give the oral arguments until after 4 or 5 of those experiences, and they were all big cases, I discovered, knew, understood he can answer any of these questions a heck of a lot better than I can. So why am I giving the argument? And you know, I'm stubborn, and it took me a while to understand that, but once I understood it, that was it. The team was gone.
What is most impressive to me about Ed is that he has this gift, intuition of the law. He has this ability to understand and to articulate the subtle nuances of the law with clarity, but yet make it very interesting. Now, well-written and interesting prose really do make a difference, and not all lawyers can make their legal prose interesting. Ed Ricco does.
What I've learned is to simplify. Find the points that work in the case. That's what Abraham Lincoln said. And concede all the rest and argue those and win those. And I learned that from Ed along with a lot of other things.
I have worked with Ed on appellate advocacy programs. I've also worked with him while he coaches here at the University of New Mexico School of Law. He coaches the students, and I've always found that those students are very well prepared. And I think it's because Ed happens to be their model. And not only does he know the theory of oral and written advocacy, but he knows how to do it.
One of the things that I like the most about Ed is his generosity. He's so generous with his time, both in terms of the amount of time he devotes to coaching moot court. I also work with Ed on the appellate practice section of the state bar and have for many years. And he volunteers his time for all sorts of committees. He's so reliable. Anything you ask him to do, he's there to do and to do it well.
If we just look at his area of specialty, appellate lawyer, and I hope he's not going to get upset about this. He is from New York. If he's a Dodger fan, I apologize. But Ed is the Derek Jeter of appellate lawyers. And anyone who has watched him make an argument, talked to him about how to prepare an argument, listened to his theories about communicating on appellate issues, has learned something from the master. So in that sense, you know, he is the best. It's hard to say someone's the best, but no one's better than Ed, and he's taught a lot of people.
Ed has heightened the quality of practice in our community. I have a couple of examples. One, whenever Ed is involved in a case, I promise you that everybody steps up their game. He's a formidable opponent, and so everybody is well prepared. We read a lot of meandering briefs that are really difficult to get through, but Ed, almost like a cool summer breeze during a hot July day, we get a brief of Ed's. I tell my law clerks, you want to read good briefs? Read Ed's briefs. The other thing about Ed is our creed of professionalism says that we have an obligation as lawyers to advance the administration of justice. He's sort of a model to the legal community for what it means to be truly committed to advance the system of justice. For about 25 years, he has served on two of our committees, the Uniform Jury Instruction Committee for civil cases and also the appellate rules. And he navigated the system beautifully, having to work with a lot of different competing interests. And he was able to bring consensus, make jury instructions readable, internally consistent, but also he had a respect for the jury's role in our system. So Ed has made tremendous contributions to our system of justice.
Ed inspires me to be a better lawyer just by example. In everything he does, whether it's coaching moot court and all of the time and energy he puts into that and passion that he puts into that, the work that he's done on the appellate practice section, and then his reputation just speaks for itself. Everyone knows that Ed is an incredible writer, an incredible oral advocate, really everything you would want to have in an appellate lawyer. And so as an aspiring appellate lawyer myself, of course, I want to emulate that.
In my ad hoc teaching at the law school, I've heard a lot of students comment about his development of their moot court team and the case and the work he puts into that. That's one of the most important things in his life, is bringing younger lawyers along.
What stands out most to me about Ed's teaching is the fact that he's just a great person anyway. And that comes out when he's working with the students. As he's critiquing the students, he always has some very positive things to share with them, but then some very specific and at times subtle things that they can do to make their advocacy much better. But I think bottom line is, he's just a wonderful person.
Part of what makes him so good at giving constructive feedback is he's authentic. He's engaging in a dialogue with you about how to build your skills and how to do it better. And he believes that you're going to do your best, and his confidence is kind of infectious. It makes you confident, and it truly works.
I've had the privilege of watching how he prepares to write a brief and make an oral argument. And the hours that he puts in, the thought process, the walking around the room, the walking the halls of Rhodey mumbling to himself. And it looks effortless when Ed does it in court. But it's the result, as is the case with everything in law, of tremendous dedication, preparation, and the intent to do something for your clients that can be done. And he's so good that it took a few years, but the plaintiff's bar discovered him, of course. And once you have the $50 million verdict, Ed's the place to go to keep it.
I can't think of anyone who's more deserving of this award, and it's truly an honor for me that he asked me to speak on his behalf.
He's just a great person. Yeah, we need more Eds. We need more Eds.